How far do you think you could go if you stopped letting obstacles block you and started seeing them as challenges to overcome? That's what we're going to be talking about today.
My childhood, when there was abuse and my mother made a choice to either stay quiet, sweep it under the rug, or do something about it, and she did something about it. I have this life-changing opportunity to volunteer at 11. It was the catalyst for the rest of my life, and in 2020, the whole program was passed over to me.
What's up? I'm Matt. Welcome to Earth Monster, the storytelling show that celebrates vulnerability and speaks to the darkest, messiest little parts of your heart about the lies that we tell ourselves every day, the stories that we use to get out of bed, the fantasies that we let propel our lives. I call these things necessary delusions. That's a little mug I made for myself. Necessary delusions, but I'm sure that you call them something different, like dreams or plans or nothing, because you're so stuck in this little hard-shelled ego that just feels so cozy to hang on to. But I'm really interested in having a conversation about the biggest ideas that we've had about ourselves and the world around us that have helped to shape or misshape the path that we've taken in life. So if you are the kind of Earth Monster who likes to self-reflect, who is thinking about reinventing yourself, who needs to build some empathy and connection with the people around you, then subscribe, because that's what I'm doing here. And I think that listening to these stories is a really great exercise in terms of doing all of those things. So my guest today is Joslynn. Joslynn responded to this ad that I post on Craigslist in the Portland, Oregon area. And Joslynn is such an awesome example of someone who can really clearly articulate this kind of like core idea or core ideas that she had about herself and the world from a really early age. And then how she sort of hung on to those ideas, how they evolved with her, and how she really intentionally turned them into a purpose in her life. I love this because I feel like all of us hold on to these core ideas, but if you're not intentional about them, then they can sort of manifest and evolve in messy ways in our lives, you know? But if you have some intention, if you have some purpose, then you can turn them into a real mission for yourself. You could turn them into a business. But without further ado, let's go now to my conversation with Joslynn.
That's loaded. That's a loaded topic. I love the concept of necessary delusions. My my whole life is wrapped in that. I feel like every ambition that I've ever had is questioned by those around me, and I am fallible in that I let that impact how I feel about myself, how I feel about my work. The one thing that I can say for certain and with a great deal of confidence is it never stops me. It's just kind of a speed bump. It's usually I need to take a moment to gather myself and go again. So my number one necessary delusion, because I love pithy lines, is don't say no, say how. When I hear a phrase that just resonates with me, it sticks, and I use it a lot.
Yeah.
Don't say no, say how was from my own experience of whether in disability services, which is the bulk of what I do, or for myself. I kept hearing the word no. And what I've come to learn is when others or society says no, I often believe that they mean not yet. We may not have conceived of how to do something. We may not have the resources to do it, but we are willing. We may not be willing, but we have the resources to do it, and we just need to have the right person. So it's a really interesting blend. Don't say no, say how really is that challenging somebody with a double negative of how can we make this work, make this happen.
What is the origin of that belief? Where did that first come for you?
The origin of the don't say no, say how, I can't quite put my finger on the wording that happened within
Mm-hmm.
somewhere between 2020 and 2022.
Mm-hmm.
But really, where the concept of that stems from in my life goes back to my childhood when there was abuse and really hard things to handle as a 7-year-old, where my mother made a choice to either stay quiet, sweep it under the rug, or do something about it. And she did something about it. Saying how in that moment has lent to a lifetime of not being a statistic, breaking the cycle of what abuse can do for someone like myself growing
Yeah.
up and becoming a professional, but for my mother as well, breaking the cycle of what's been done before, how it's always been done. I'm not going to speak up, I'm not going to push, et cetera, et cetera. So, really grateful to her for her bravery in saying how. And I think that that set the precedent really from very early on. But as my career has evolved and as my experiences lend to who I am today, I am largely shaped by what I've experienced with and in observation of the disability community. And for the sake of definition, disability community being all encompassing of persons with medical diagnoses and conditions that impact their access to day-to-day life.
Understood. And you're a behavioral analyst, yes?
I am. So I'm a licensed educator from back in the day, keep it relevant. But I am also BCBA or board certified behavior analyst and autism consultant.
Gotcha. So, Joslynn, I only want to talk about what you're comfortable talking about. It's really powerful sort of story that you're telling about your mom. Don't need to go into gory details, that kind of thing, but just you sort of talked about like because she did what she did you say you didn't become a statistic?
I didn't become a statistic. Yeah.
So, can you tell me the kind of like maybe the common path for someone who doesn't get spoken up for versus what was sort of altered by what she did for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the common path for someone who doesn't have a voice or is not encouraged to speak up for themselves, not taught to do so, et cetera, that individual is going to experience less of a quality of life than they deserve and what they could have. There's a lot of pathways out of what we would call the victim category or mindset. It's not enough even to be a survivor. A dear friend of mine who passed a number of years ago, Kelly Clark, he was a nationally known child abuse lawyer, and he said that there's three kinds of people. There's a victim, survivor, and then there's thriver. So by giving a voice to the voiceless, encouraging others to speak up for themselves and say how, we're creating a community and a generation of thrivers as opposed to leaving some of our friends in the victim category or watching others work their entire lives to just survive.
Right. And for you, so it sounds like you said 7 years old. That's really young. It seems like it would be difficult at that time for you to maybe like fully understand the weight of your mom's actions. So can you think about like how was this story told to you or relayed to you or experienced by you throughout your upbringing? How did you sort of like come to take it on yourself, you know?
Uh, ooh, let me think about that. So my story's always been my own. It isn't something that's told to me. There are bits and pieces, of course, that are either uncovered in therapy or that come out in conversations much later in life. But who I am now and growing up, while my entire existence since then has been consumed by that mentally, externally, my story is very much private and not widely discussed, even in my
Mm-hmm.
own personal life. It's something I tend to keep very much close to heart because I don't want to distract from the humans that I'm serving that are still experiencing the trials and tribulations that they deserve to be saved from, or not necessarily saved, but supported through. I think the other piece is being a young, loud, outspoken female for the entirety of my professional career thus far. My story would be perceived as weakness. There's no doubt about it. In closed circles, especially in women and survivor groups, that might be a different story. But every time my story's been shared outside of really intimate moments and relationships, it has impacted the way that I'm perceived. My thoughts and feelings are dismissed as elements of mental health and not as truth and valid input.
Yeah. Do you think that realizing that reaction that you were getting to sharing that information has made you sort of hold it even closer to you?
Yeah, very much so. There was a time when I was in high school and I made the choice to share it with somebody close to me, and knowing that that's a lot of information to take in, they're welcome to go home and talk to their family and, whatever they need to feel safe and comfortable. And my mom got a call from their mom and basically was told that that's inappropriate. There's no reason to be talking about these things, and this person tries to protect their children. It's nuts. I know it's not right, but it is what happened and has shaped a lot of my, sharing.
I bet it also shapes your attitude towards things, because even that like anecdote right there about just like the parent calling and being like, well, these aren't things that you should be talked about. Isn't that the exact mentality that makes people not speak up in the first place?
Exactly. And then, just time and time again, I'm very susceptible to, we'll say, incidents of a similar nature. For whatever reason, never mind that I put myself out there a lot. And
do you mean with the, I just want to make sure I know what you're talking about. Incidents of a similar nature. Do you mean the incident of the parent calling, that kind of?
No, I'm sorry. Incidents similar to the abuse that I experienced.
Oh,
and when I report things, when I try to speak up for myself, which has happened in pretty extreme in 2 different work settings. Once when I was young, working for a major retailer, and another working for a major nonprofit. When I would report that I was not being treated well, they would look at, well, you're loud, you're boisterous, you look the way you do, you dress the way you do, which at that time when I was 20, my uniform was spandex. So, is that me?
Right.
But it's just always pushed back onto me and how I bring it on myself, as opposed to the deeply flawed nature of how the other person is conducting themselves.
Yeah. Joslynn, let's go back to kind of what you started with. You were talking about, I think you started with the necessary delusions, and then you kind of said, a lot of the decisions that I make in my life, I'll get a lot of doubt or pushback. You said you don't make them, they're not blockers, they're speed bumps. So can you talk about maybe examples of that? Why do you think that's a theme in your life, and how did you come to make them speed bumps instead of blockers?
Yeah. When I feel like I'm getting pushback, especially professionally, again, a lot of times it's because I'm challenging the way things have always been done, or I'm trying something that they haven't done before. So I get a lot of pushback professionally. And again, from that, challenging the way things have always been done and introducing things that have never been done before, at least in a certain setting or with certain people at a certain time period. I run my own business, and I also run a national nonprofit. Through my business, I'm doing a multitude of things, whether it's serving individuals in exploring their futures and career paths, which is a nerdy passion of mine, to consulting with families to better understand the paperwork that's coming in and out of their household relating to disability and medical and government services, to my national nonprofit where I'm collaborating with a lot of big names with big ideas, with big influence and not so big budgets, as well as very diverse clientele, persons of different disability categories. There's the ableism we experience from being a person with a disability, being around people without disabilities, to the inner ableism of classism within the disability community. So the pushback really ranges, but it's almost always, well, that's not how we do it. Or
Right.
we're not ready. But
Right.
they never say that.
I wonder if we could go back. What was the most important thing in the world to you when you were 11 years old?
When I was 11, I started volunteering with an adaptive soccer program, and that was the most important thing from then to now. It's been almost 18 years of working with individuals with disabilities on the field, on the court, in the community, in the classroom, in the clinic, and I couldn't be happier with that part.
What brought you to that in the first place when you were 11? What give me the story. What was the context? How'd you get there?
I was playing club ball. I was experiencing a lot of isolation from my peers, as well as some legitimate bullying on my team. So it was a reprieve, if you will, when my mom heard that the club I was playing for had started an adaptive soccer program. And so I started volunteering for that, I want to say in 2007.
What is adaptive soccer? Like, what does adaptive mean, I guess?
Adaptive. Adaptive soccer, others might call it disability soccer or soccer for special needs. That's not really language I try to encourage at this point. Adaptive soccer is taking the model that the globe knows and helping it to fit a specific population of human beings so that it's more accessible and more level playing field. So in the same way that somebody at some point in the timeline of history thought it was appropriate to separate men and women for the sake of ability and level play, within the realm of adaptive soccer, there are a minimum of 7 established pathways in the United States for specific categories of disability. Would you like me to list those off?
Are these, I just want to make sure, I'm going to be honest, I'm really looking for more of a personal story. I really want to learn about you.
Okay.
That's kind of the whole kind of conversation. I'm really looking to get kind of a slice of a person, you know, like a,
yeah.
I think like to know, and honestly, you're doing a really great job of sort of like sharing these like very like kind of tentpole moments. And for me, at least, it feels sort of clear in how to string them together. I always ask about 11 years old because I think that a lot of us hold on to those core ideas that we have about ourselves and what we're doing at that time. It's so perfect that when you
terribly ironic. Yeah.
discover this soccer program, right? And is that, am I correct to say that is like the mission of your nonprofit now, or is that a separate thing?
Kind of. That organization that I started volunteering for is now one of the members of the nonprofit that I run. The volunteering at the age of 11 in adaptive soccer was the catalyst for my entire career. So I'm very
excited about it. When you were doing it for the first time, what started firing off for you where you were like,
I found community. I found community in a home around these athletes who really, there was no judgment. There was an acceptance of me coming as I am, being as I was. And throughout my time around these athletes and meeting new ones and collaborating with families, etc., I felt valued. I felt important, a sense of purpose to serve, but selfishly that community, that piece of just being accepted and not feeling like the other or the outsider.
Were you playing soccer in the league?
Yeah. I was playing club ball myself,
right,
and volunteering for this on the side.
But when you say volunteering, I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. Were you like
what my role was?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I volunteered as a one-to-one buddy, is what we call them. An individual working with a player or a small group of players, helping them access the activities that we're doing within a given session. So when you're a volunteer in that role, you're kind of like an interpreter for what the coach says and interpreting and applying it based on the individual's needs. Sometimes that's literal if an individual is deaf or hard of hearing, using visuals and sign language if that's what they use to repeat or deliver information.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody is blind,
not
visually
dissimilar from being a behavioral analyst, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I think it, aside from my own attitude, influenced going into a behavior analytic field and into education.
So actually, if we take the specifics out a little bit, I would love to hear a little bit about your first experience. So did you get teamed up with a player?
Yeah, I can talk about my first experience.
Would love that, yeah.
The first player I ever volunteered with was a buddy. It was a young man. I said this in a speech recently, wore blue-rimmed glasses and had Spider-Man AFOs. And if you don't know what an AFO is, leg brace for his lower leg. And he just had a very complex impact of his disability, required touch to guide him where we needed to go. I was really doing everything, a little bit of a puppeteer, bring the ball to him, kind of help him move it forward, bring the goal closer. Not quite soccer in its most traditional form.
Sure.
But we were together for an entire camp, and we found more purpose in helping pick things up and bring things to the shed as opposed to just playing soccer. And I loved that, this is a space where he can come as he is and get the support he needs to feel functional and successful in this environment. That really spoke to me.
So then take me ahead a little bit. Like, how about when you're leaving your house for the first time to step into the independent adult world? What are the choices that you're making? What's your mindset? Are we, it sounds like we're probably keeping some of the themes that we've been talking about during that time.
Yeah, I do want to offer the perspective of many people ask what my hobbies are, and I jokingly say work, which I don't see what I do most of the time as work. I just see it as necessary for my existence.
Yeah.
So when it seems that I'm very much trying to convey a message or leaning into the different business models that I'm a part of, it's not marketing and advertising. It's truly my passion and the entire essence of my being.
What is it? Well, then what does it do for you? If it doesn't feel like work, what is it, like, what are you getting out of it on a day-to-day basis that makes it feel like a hobby rather?
I will say it is work. Sorry, I'm going to digress once more. One of the things I hate the most is being told that my work sounds really rewarding, because most of the time.
Well, to be fair, I didn't say that.
I know you didn't. I know.
It doesn't sound rewarding to me. No, I'm just kidding.
But it will funnel into the answer to your first question of, I don't say that it's rewarding. I say that it's necessary, because it is work. It sucks so often.
Yeah.
Doing the things that I do, not because of the humans that I'm serving, not because it's not worth it, but because it's so hard. And because there's a very strong likelihood that I will not achieve what I would like to achieve for the people I care about in this lifetime. And that's largely due to I mean, the obvious, the political climate, the way our healthcare system's set up, the way the education system's set up. That's why I no longer work in education. And recently had an experience where I was very disheartened by the medical system, and I'm not sure how I feel other than angry. So going back to, I have this life-changing opportunity to volunteer at 11. It was the catalyst for the rest of my life. I didn't stop volunteering for that one organization.
Mm-hmm.
I became the head coach for that at 18. And in 2020, the whole program was passed over to me, and I've sustained it and grown it more. And now I'm starting to mentor others in hope that there's a succession plan, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So as my role continues to ebb and flow in other areas. But it also led me into other adaptive soccer and adaptive sport volunteering opportunities and roles in high school, which also led me into taking actual classes as a peer mentor and teacher's assistant in classes for students who needed more support in special education or otherwise. It was my whole world.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of other volunteering, but this is really like the focus.
Joslynn, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm a little aware of the time because I may have somebody jumping on here.
It's okay.
So I wanted to ask, well, first of all, I really appreciate the conversation. Do I have your permission to share this conversation on my podcast, online, and the different materials that I sort of use to promote the show?
Yeah. Maybe bleep out
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
certain things that might seem like they're disclosing information. I was trying not to name organizations and stuff.
Of course. And then also maybe just like a plug of your nonprofit, whatever you, where can people find out more about what you're doing?
So to work with me as an individual and learn more about my entire career and how I can support others, you can go to my business, sayhowconsulting.com. If you are interested specifically in adaptive soccer throughout the entire United States and beyond, you can go to unitedadaptivesoccer.com and learn more there.
I love it. Well, thank you for that. Just one more thing. How about some creature comforts? Do you have any creature comforts that you could share?
Creature comforts. Diet Coke fuels my everything. I do not have blood. I have Diet Coke in my veins, not to mention water and all things Portland. I love Portland, Oregon very, very much.
Yeah. What is it about Diet Coke? It sounds like you're calling it a hobby, but you seem a little addicted to work.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I'm trying to get sponsored, so
yeah. So good to be talking about it. Well, Joslynn, thank you again for agreeing to do this.
Well, I hope there's some useful tidbits here, and I'm grateful to be a part of Earth Monster.
So what do you think? Were you able to find a little piece of yourself in Joslynn or in Joslynn's story? How did it make you think about your own path or the own core ideas that drive you? Are you intentional about them? Are you unintentional about them? How have they evolved in your life? What have you turned them into? What was the most important thing in the world to you when you were 11 years old? Try to unpack it, figure it out, and see how you carried it with you and what you're doing with it today. I really want to thank Joslynn for coming on and telling a vulnerable story, for telling an inspiring story about the way that she has used these ideas in her life to find a really purposeful mission for herself. And if you want to learn more about Joslynn and the work that she does, you can go to sayhowconsulting.com. But I really hope that you will take some time to figure out what kind of earth monster you want to be. Get an idea and hang on to it tight like a dog with a bone. Think it, feed it, do it. And don't forget to subscribe to the show because I am having just the most compelling conversations with complete strangers that I find on Craigslist. I know nothing of them before we jump onto the call, and then we have conversations like this, which are so fulfilling to me, and I hope that you are taking just as much out of them. We will be back next week with more epic, everyday stories of success and redemption. I'll see you next time.